All right, round 2 of GOP chair chase talks or something like that. Daniel Herrera is here with me. He is also seeking the chair of the Knox County GOP since our good friend Randy has decided to step down. And so we're talking to the people that are doing their thing. It's not the same as the normal election, I suppose, but still interesting, still something fun to talk about because I still don't understand how half this shit works. So, that's what we're going to talk about. We're Almost in Agreement, almostinagreement@gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Our website is live at almostinagreement.com. Check it out. Tell your friends about us. Help us get the word out. We're trying to continue to, bring you information about people and places and how this whole thing's working. So I'll do a short intro because the man's got a date with his fiance, so I'm stealing time. So I'll do the intro. Daniel, welcome. Appreciate you coming by.
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming by. I apologize. We had a crazy week.
That's okay.
We had you scheduled Monday, and then you had busy with work, and then rescheduled Wednesday, and then I got busy with work. And now it's Friday, and we're getting this thing, and we're getting it done.
Welcome to life, right?
Yeah. It's weird. We've been at this for about a year, and this week is the only time I've ever had a problem with scheduled events.
Yeah.
I had Lauren Ryder earlier today from the city council, and I was burning it just to get here in time to get that one started on time, and then I had technical issues that I got to figure out. But I think it was a Zoom issue more than it was this thing. But I don't know. Like I was kind of teasing the intro, and I don't know if you got to listen to the Brooks one yet.
Yeah, I have.
I don't know what to talk to you guys about. Like, I don't know what the job is. Like, this is my issue. Like, my issue in the grand scheme of things is kind of the real kick over to this part of the show from the original set where it's just me and my buddies talking shit. Was we were in the middle of so we've been at about a year. We're in the middle of all the campaigning that was going on back then. And so I'm District 18, so I had the Gina Oster, Eddie Manis show right in my front yard, literally at some points. But, one of the things that kicked over to me and when talking to the rest of the guys in the show about it is, like, I don't know what the job is supposed to be.
Sure.
Like, and then your job is a whole separate layer to that. But, I don't know what a state rep does, realistically.
Sure.
What I'm expecting them to do, because it dawns on me that everybody runs on schools.
Sure.
And then it dawns on me that state level's got some stuff to do with it. But unless you're running if you're in Knox County and you are not on the school board, you really don't have anything to do with the schools.
Sure. Yeah.
But they run on it anyway.
Yeah.
And so the premise of trying to figure out what people are supposed to do instead of what they say they can do,
Sure.
and that whole rhetoric of campaigning, it was kind of where I kicked over. And so I guess we'll start with, what is your opinion of what a chair for a local party should be doing versus state or national level kind of there? Because that's one of the differences too.
Yeah. So let me go ahead and just set the premise as to what the county party is supposed to do. Okay. The county party is supposed to raise money. It's supposed to spend that money on candidates, and it's supposed to actually try to recruit GOP candidates and make sure that we retain our current elected officials. The chairman of the party is essentially the head. So, you take your communications, you pretty much, you make it known kind of the party's stance on things, and you're pretty much out there being the face of the party.
Okay, because that's what confuses me, because I'm trying to figure out, so the national party hands down most of the policy stuff. There's because I've had my party chair battles, which have been a great time with having Randy and Matt in here together, and like one of the things, like, because I tried really hard to stay as local as possible, and it's hard to get them to speak on behalf of the party for a local issue.
Sure. Because
the party per se hasn't either convened to talk about it locally, or the national party doesn't care because there's a street light. What does the RNC actually care about this street light on this corner in Knoxville? Which makes sense, but like that's one of the things I'm struggling with in understanding, like the layers to this cake, for lack of a better word, is like where so I don't know, again, because like there's activity even when we're not in campaign cycle, and that's what confuses me.
Right.
Like what, like other than, I mean, other than prepping for the next campaign cycle, what activity is going on between campaigns?
Yeah. So if you look at the way it is now, right? It's kind. I mean, let's be honest. The party really doesn't do anything unless it's an election year. Okay, I'm taking a different approach to that. I really do believe that the party needs to, when it's not an election cycle, go out into the communities and actually engage with not necessarily voters but also residents. You know, one of the kind of demographics that I think I could really help kind of bring into our party is our younger group and our Hispanics and our Latinos. That's one of the areas I think the Republican Party has pretty much said, we don't need to pay attention to that demographic. I disagree. It's one of the fastest growing demographic voter blocks in the United States, and it's the same here in Knox County.
Okay, because I mean, I agree, especially like I joked with Harry about it, and Harry's a perfect example of the Republican Party is the old white man party. It's been that like
Sure.
that's been the running joke for a long time, you know, and so it's one of those. At some point, you have to. I mean, I guess generationally a new set of old white men come along, but realistically, especially in this new age, because I think this last election, if nothing else, it showed us that there is a willingness to engage
Right.
on a larger level than has been in the past.
It's not even such a willingness. It's kind of like a must. Like it has to be done.
Yeah. But there's something there. I'll be curious to see a non-pandemic election,
Yeah.
hopefully sooner than later, that we can kind of see if it was as much pandemic as it was specifically the parties at play.
Sure.
That churned out that output, because I mean that was by tens of millions more than ever before,
Right.
on the national level, and you know, and especially with Matt, and I don't know how Randy is not as forthcoming with the RNC data set that you guys have access to, but Matt likes to show off the technology. Maybe that's an age thing too. About like all the super information that's out there that you guys have access to through the parties.
Data is king, my friend.
Creepy.
It's I know, I get it. It is creepy. You know, I use a program. Well, it's a service for this i360. I'm sure you're familiar with i360.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're a data company, but they focus on like campaigning.
Right.
I mean, the amount of information that they have on you, down to your magazine subscriptions. You know, can paint kind of like it's not going to tell you how you necessarily will vote, but you have like a 90. It'll tell you there's a 90% chance that this man is going to turn out vote for a conservative.
Right. Yeah. Matt was telling me like, there's a they have like a set of.
It's a scale, yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. They have we'll come out, we'll vote for whoever the Democrat is. We'll come out, we'll vote for whoever the Republican is. Then there's a subset scale of likeliness to actually vote, regardless of who they're voting for.
Right.
And then they will vote, but we don't know who they're going to vote. Where they're, you know, they're somewhere in the middle on that.
And whether they donate too. You know, that's one of the biggest factors.
And apparently, and thanks to Matt, I know that I'm not allowed to run as a Republican. In county, which is fine. I wouldn't want to do it anyway. That's not who I am, and that would be a lie for me. But at the same time, if I wanted to win an election, I kind of have to be a Republican in the county. But you know, traditions change at some point. Yeah.
For now, you know, I really don't think that. I mean, if we don't change what we're doing now, I mean, it might be a purple county 10, 12, 15 years from now.
And in some ways, it kind of already is. And this is what like Metro's been a big thing for me, and that's one of the. This is one of the things about politics that I always lose my I fail to articulate well when conversating, is that I always forget that that politics and governance are different things, but the politics has a lot of influence on the governance, because like I keep throwing Metro out and like I keep getting this pushback, and it's like, I don't understand why nobody else is on board. Why isn't everybody on board with this? And then as the pushback continues the conversation, it becomes the politics of the city and county are. Even though the city's not technically partisan, it is. The city is much more blue, the county is much more red, and to try to get them to agree on something as massive as going Metro would be very, very unlikely. And it's like, I don't care. Whether the city and county get along politically means nothing to me.
Sure.
It's whether or not it is the right option for me, the citizen.
Sure. Yeah, I get it.
And that's one of the things that super frustrated me. But it's part of the game, and I get it. And so I got to deal with it. So let's do a little backup bio part. How old are you?
I'm 28.
28, Jesus Christ, that is young.
Hey, it's not as young as you think, all right? Like, I have my own law firm, I'm an attorney, you know, I have my own small business, and it's great, you know.
No, you're a child, just fine.
Okay, Seth.
I mean, Miss Ryder and I were talking earlier about it. It's like, you know, like back in our 20s when we didn't pay attention to politics, which is totally accurate for me and was apparently accurate for her as well. Like, I mean, I'm turning 40 this year, and I just now started getting super active in it.
Oh, man.
But
I've been knocking doors since I was in high school.
There was a, what's the word I'm looking for here? There was a, I don't know. It's too ethereal. It's too kind of out there.
Sure.
And
I get that.
There's nothing concrete about it. It's the cast changes. Like it's a TV show that the cast changes every couple of years, and they never get along. And the only fun part is watching them fight. And it's like,
and there's no laugh tracks.
Right. And it's so much easier to laugh along with somebody than to laugh at what's happening to you because of what these people are doing. But that's a separate thing too. Okay, so you mentioned the Latino-based part and trying to grow that inside the party. And I saw it on one of your posts. I don't remember the specific of it, but sure. In I guess let's do it this way instead. Let's start here. Is what is your opinion of the pillars of the party right now? Like,
in what sense?
Just like at least the traditional, the Republican Party of old was smaller government, personal accountabilities.
Okay.
That kind of set.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I still think that's pretty strong. I mean, that foundation is pretty strong in our party. I mean, we've seen it with more or less President Trump. We've seen a more conservative kind of base. I mean, you see it here in Knox County. I can't tell you how many times. We're way past November, and I still see a bunch of Trump flags that are flying around, in trucks and cars. I really think that they're looking for a party, and our membership is looking for a party that's going to be more in your face and more active. And that's kind of what I want to offer as chair. The Knox County GOP kind of is silent when it comes to issues, whether it's the $100 million reparations that the city council passed, or the whatever issue. There's no public comment from the city. From the
local
party,
right?
I really think that if the party disagrees on something fundamentally, we really should be using social media and using our groups to show up to these city council meetings and actually making public comments.
I agree with that, and I mean, from my perspective in doing the show, I've had until I met Randy and started working with Randy, I had a lot easier. Like, the Democrats tended to be a little bit more forthcoming, just be like, yeah, sure, I'll do your thing. Sounds great. Where the Republicans, I had to kind of pull for a while, and then I got Randy involved, and Randy started pushing around people for me, which was super helpful. Which if and when you win in this chair, I expect you or Harry to help me with that moving forward. But again, the perspective for me is that it's been as far as our Facebook channel goes, and most of the engagement and stuff, I'm getting a lot more of it from the Democrats either I've had or people that have started following us through one of the candidates that we've had on here through the time.
Sure, yeah.
And I don't, you have the data set, you figure out why it's that way, but it again, going back to the old white man party, because my dad unfriended me on Facebook because all I ever do is share this job or my other job. All I do is advertise through Facebook. I don't put pictures of my kids or anything on there. So my dad's like, yeah, I don't want to be your friend on Facebook anymore. It's like, I understand that. Totally okay. So anyway, I lost my train of thought. Pillars of the party.
Yeah. Conservatism, pro-life, all that. Yeah, I still think that's super strong in our party. And I think it's been reinforced ever since the election. I mean, ever since Trump got elected, it's kind of been, more of the, sexier kind of conversation pieces. It's that get out the vote, get out the base. And I mean, you've seen it. Political parties want that kind of stuff. They want some topics that energize voters, because voters just means engagement.
So I don't know. I don't want to go down an abortion train, but I have a really hard time with the single issue voter. I really don't understand that mindset, and especially some of the single issues, abortion kind of being one of those on the list. It feels to me, in perspective, that it's only brought out in conversation during campaigns to energize the base, not that there's any real intent over time to do something about said topic. And it's just that it goes back to that. What I was saying at the beginning, it's like everybody runs on schools, but nobody has anything to do with schools.
Yeah, and I think one of the bigger kind of topics that candidates need to run on and kind of the parties need to embrace is kind of like your local economy. That's really what affects everybody. We have a public safety issue here in the city of Knoxville as well.
Yeah, we do.
But it kind of seems like it's only addressed when there's a tragedy. This is kind of stuff that we need to be focusing on pretty much 24/7. I mean, we're a growing city. We're going to continue to grow. You look at Charlotte, North Carolina, and these other cities. That's violence is involved with growing. It's just natural. It's just people being people. But that's why we need, a strong law enforcement to pretty much keep everything in order.
Okay, so did you happen to catch my drone accident mistake?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so I misread a commission thing, and I thought the sheriff's office is buying a drone.
Oh,
and it wasn't really happening. And again, I've got Becky Massey coming on here in a couple weeks, and she's got a bill going through the state changing how that is, and I'm not a big fan of that. I've decided I'm a Fourth Amendment person. And I think we've gotten pretty bad about paying attention to what the Fourth Amendment's supposed to mean.
Brother, if you knew what I knew in law school, and that Fourth Amendment's pretty much shredded.
No, I mean, my friend, my personal attorney, not personal, but my business attorney, I've had him on the show a couple times, and we did a whole Fourth Amendment episode, and it's pretty painful, the extent of what's okay.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a real thing. People really don't understand. There's, you have that Fourth Amendment text. And then there's like 27 different exceptions to the Fourth Amendment warrant rule. So, it's real. I mean, and a lot of that has come down from our judiciary. It's come down from the United States Supreme Court. Throughout the years.
Right.
It's not so much legislation; it really is the courts.
Right. And we do have the drone one, particularly Massey's working on, and I'm curious because I'm always curious, like, where do some of these things start? Like, I get some of them. Some of them make sense. Some particular thing happens, and we're going to write a law to make sure that bad thing doesn't happen again. Those kind of track to me. But like, as I've started getting more active and trying to keep up with the state and local and all the different majillion items that keep running around, a question popped into my head one time. It's like, who's asking for this? And I don't know. Like, and I'm going to ask Becky that when she gets here. It's like, who asked for this change in drone law? Like, why is this a thing that somebody who actually wants this? Because I have a hard time imagining that a random citizen or even a random citizen's group is like, hey, can you fly over my head and take pictures of me when I'm not looking? I really appreciate it.
Yeah, be careful with where the lobbyist money is.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those. It's a known issue. Everybody knows about it. We talk about it all the time, but it doesn't feel like it's ever one of those that we're going to jump over and start actually doing something with. I don't know. I don't know what to talk to you about because I don't know what your job is supposed to be. Like, I get it. It's about getting volunteers, getting the base active, getting candidates elected. But like, I know
that's such a superficial thing, right? Like, without kind of going into details, kind of what does that mean?
Well, and especially for me that doesn't care about your party.
Sure.
And not in a mean way, but it's like I don't like.
No, you're right.
I have a lot of issues. Like, I have a lot of issues with the two-party system. One of the my new particular one, and again, I'm going to get to yell at Massey about this when she comes in. Is I follow her on Facebook. She sent out the link for applying for the county election commission.
Right.
I can't apply for the election commission.
Yeah.
And I can't. I don't know that you could show me an argument that makes a bit of sense. Matt tried, Randy tried, and it's like, nah, I'm not buying that. It's bullshit. It's not. I'm not okay with that. I am a citizen. Just because I don't want to affiliate with a party doesn't mean I'm not allowed to be active in the game.
I think that's a good argument.
And it's just, it drives me nuts. Anyway, I don't know. Take the floor for a second. Shut me up.
Sure. So, like I said, I think fundraising is probably the number one thing that the party needs to do. And what exactly does that mean? Does that mean that you just hold one fundraiser a year or two fundraisers a year? No, I think it's got to be consistent. In my opinion, the party shouldn't have anything less than $125,000 in the bank at any time. Currently, we're well below that. If I'm elected chair, what I would like to do almost within the first month or so is to have our first fundraiser for our city council candidates, or at least trying to raise money to get involved in our city council. I've been blessed with opportunity, throughout my life, working in DC and being involved in these kind of political organizations around the country. I've been very involved with Turning Point USA. Charlie Kirk is a very good friend of mine, and when I ran for office, he was a good financial backer of mine. I even spoke at his first ever Latino Conservative Summit, and I believe that was over in the Chicago area. So I would like to use kind of my connections federally to kind of bring some money into our party. We don't have a headquarters right now. We had one, but we don't have anything permanent. I don't see a reason why we shouldn't have a permanent headquarters. It doesn't have to be anything grand. I'm not saying $1 million building, maybe something that's like $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 building, something that serves its purpose, where you can meet, have a consistent meeting place, where you can do phone banking and actual kind of campaigning.
Right.
Our party really doesn't. Also, when it comes to campaigns, we we stay out of our primaries, and which is fine. That's okay. In my opinion, the party shouldn't get involved in the primary. Let the primary process play itself out, and then whichever candidate comes out in the end, that's our candidate. Okay. But when our candidate comes out of that end, we don't do anything to help them, campaign or fund them either,
Right.
We kind of just go, okay, well, let's see what we can do. I think that we can really improve our social media infrastructure. That's kind of one of the things that we're lacking here, but are desperately needing. I helped Randy Pace, our current chair, very recently in the past election. We had a website, but we didn't have a Google presence. Are you familiar with Google My Business and all that?
Yep.
That's like the key to the internet. Okay.
Yes.
So we didn't have that. So I was able to set that up for them, and able to actually get voters and people who are interested in the party to kind of show up to headquarters and buy some merchandise that we had. So we I at least was able to get us part in the 2021.
Right.
And that's kind of the changes we need to do. We really need to modernize our party. That doesn't mean sacrificing our values. Modernizing our party means let's bring it up to speed with today's technology.
Right.
So that's kind of like the very basic things I want to do. Another thing that I think I would like to have done for the party, and I would like to talk to my executive committee if I have that, if I have the blessing to be the GOP chair. But the GOP needs to start doing more press releases. They need to be making public comments about policies that are being pushed in the city and the county. If we're gonna have an in-your-face presence, we got to have a public presence.
Right. Yeah, don't let Randy write him. He's too long-winded. I really do. I really enjoy Randy. He's a great guy. He's top handful on the list of people I met through doing this show, but he speaks in metaphor, and especially when I've had a couple beers, I really have a hard time tracking. It's like, I just asked what color your shoes are, man. I don't know what this has to do with New Jersey naval something or other. Everything goes back to New Jersey or the Navy at some point.
And Randy's awesome.
Randy is a good dude. He's fun. He's fun to have around. He's a little excitable, which again, I think you're right. I think that's one of the things that's lacking in the game is that there's it doesn't seem like, in my opinion, that the Republican Party, at least locally, has a lot of energy. It just kind of seems like the candidates are doing their own thing. I mean,
right.
now that as you say it, and I'm thinking back to the campaigning last time, it really seemed like because Matt Shears reached out to me at some point, and was like, "Hey, I got these other candidates. You want them on your show?" I was like, "Sure." Mm-hmm. And then I found Randy because I tried to do things as evenly as possible. I found Randy, and then he was like, "Yeah, I can help." So both did the same thing, but like Matt actively sought me out, where I had to seek Randy out to get I don't think Randy knows what a podcast is, and it's okay.
But look, the Democrats are younger; they're more tech savvy. Let's be honest. Give them credit where credit's due, and I think it comes with that age, But the GOP needs to start acting like it's 2021 and not like it's 1920.
I mean, yeah, okay. I mean, that sounds reasonable at least. Okay, so I don't know where do we go from here. Do we? I don't know. Do you want to tell more backstory on you personally, or do we want to go into some of the current issues and how you and or the party stand on some of the things?
I mean, I guess I could talk about myself a little bit. Like I said, Daniel Herrera, I'm 28 years old. I'm born in the Democratic People's Republic of New Jersey. I kind of make that joke. People like it. Had the beautiful opportunity of going to college at the Catholic University in Washington, D.C. I've worked on campaigns. Worked for Robert Turner up in D.C. He was a congressman who represented New York. Nobody knows who he is, but he was the congressman who won a special election after Anthony Weiner resigned. So I was able to assist in serving that district. Eventually went to go work for Matt Salmon of Arizona. Again, that was a very Latino kind of constituent base over there. I mean, Arizona is pretty Latino. Moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. Ran for office in Charlotte, North Carolina. I won my Republican primary in a very Democrat district that would go pretty much 95% Democrat. I was told I was not going to raise a penny. I raised close to $25,000 in my own race. It's all about the hustle, really. That's all it is.
Well, because that was the thing with Kyle, because Kyle Ward's my commissioner.
Yeah.
And like everything about that primary was Nystrom had all the mechanics and all the money and everything built up behind him, but Kyle went out there and did the legwork.
I mean, that's what it comes down to.
And got out there and pounded on doors. And even though he didn't pound on mine, he never knocked on my door until I invited him over to do a show. So I don't know. I don't know exactly how that one worked.
But yeah, I mean, look, I have experience in this. I have experience in campaigning. I didn't win my election, but I got I'm gonna say close to about 24% of the vote, which was awesome. I was where in all the other districts we saw about a 30 to 40% loss in GOP voter turnout. My district was the only positive one with an 88% GOP turnout. So taking that and really making that indent in a Democrat area, okay, and really raising money and making it known that you're the candidate, showing up to events, volunteering for community events and community organizations. We need to start becoming more active in our backyard. Okay, it's not. We can't just be going to Republican clubs and saying, okay, pat yourselves on the back, you guys did good work. We need to start getting into this community. I'm telling you, we could take back some city council districts this year. It's very possible. But it's going to take legwork, and we need a chairman who's going to invest into those resources and that infrastructure to really start taking back some seats.
Okay, I'm sold. I can't vote, so it doesn't matter. But, I mean, whatever. Again, I think it sounds pretty. I mean, that part sounds spot on. Is that Harry said it too when he was here. He's like Kyle is the model for moving forward in that it's about that hustle. He didn't say that. He's not cool enough to say hustle, but it's about that movement, and it's not about the money in the machine like it used to be. It's about the grind and getting out there and doing it. So I don't know. I mean, what is again, because this is where I'm confused on. Sure. So let's say Kyle Ward comes to you. He's still in office after you get chair. Mm-hmm. Is there at any point where it's I mean, they'd have sunshine it, but is there at any point where you have kind of get-togethers with Republican office holders or anything like that as part of the process where you kind of try to solidify something that's a little unclear between elected party not party members, but elected party officials
that are candidates at the same time?
Maybe if they are in cycle, but even if they're not, I'm just saying, right now, your thing's next weekend, sure, so 2 weeks from now, Kyle comes to you and is like, where's the party at on this issue? Yeah. Is that a thing? Or am I just making stuff up?
It should be a thing.
I'm just asking.
It should be a thing. I think the party needs to take clear stances on
I don't think it should be a thing. I think it should be, hey, Seth, you are one of my constituents. What do you think about this thing?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, realistically, that should come first. Right? How is your district expecting you and kind of wanting you to vote? In my opinion, we're looking for more representatives and not politicians. Okay, if you're going to be a representative, if you're an elected official, you should be a representative. Your district should come first. That's just how it is. Now, there's a difference between, and Randy Pace says this all the time, there's a difference between being an elected official and being an elected private party chair. The focuses are different, and sometimes it may clash, But what I think the GOP needs to be doing as a party is kind of trying, again, being in these communities, kind of understanding how they want, what they're looking for. What does the small business owners in this community want? What do the parents want? Is this a safe community? Could we use more law enforcement or maybe even some more community engagement in this area? I think that's all important issues that not only the elected officials need to know, but that the party needs to know too, because it's reflective of the kind of candidates that we should be looking for in that district.
That makes sense. I mean, yeah, it seems a little bit more of a what's the word here? Researched search pattern for future candidates.
I mean, look, wins are wins, right? If you're going to win a district, fine, fair enough. But at the same time, the GOP does not need to be just running candidates just for the sake of kind of winning the race. It's got to be reflective, because it's going to be a long-term effect. If let's say, Seth, I'm running a candidate that is completely opposite of what this district wants, right? But we know for a fact this candidate's going to win. It's going to win. Next time I come and ask you for your vote for the GOP, you're going to go, no way.
Right, you gave me this guy.
Yeah, you gave me this guy. This is, you could have done better than this. Why is this the case? Now granted, if it's a primary, the GOP needs to stay out of it. Okay, I love when we have contested primaries because it shows kind of diversity of thought too. Who's going to be more involved in the district than the other guy? Who's going to knock more doors and kind of tailor his message to what his district is looking for? That's how you truly win elections. It's not so much I'm this guy, I am me, and I'm not him. So vote for me because I'm not him. That's not how it should be. It's got to be representative of the district, and that's kind of what I'm running on as well. Look, I know I represent the Republicans in the Republican Party if I were a chair, but at the same time, the party's got to be mindful of how that district is kind of looking forward to. And I think Republican values and kind of Republican messaging can fit into a lot of districts as well.
All right, so what are we doing in the grand scheme of things to get the federal and state government out of our local business? I mean, the state government's not going anywhere, so let's just stick with federal. How do we actually go back to this whole small federal government thing that was supposed to be the Republican thing of old, and the last 4 or 5 Republican presidents have failed miserably at?
Yeah, stop taking grants.
God, you are Randy's.
Yeah, stop taking municipal grants. I mean, everything comes with a string.
Right.
It's just loaned money. You got to pay it back.
Or you got to do the dance, whatever the dance is.
Right, or you got to do whatever's tied to it.
Right, and I think that's interesting too, because that's something that as Randy brought my attention to that I've started to try to pay attention when I see it on commission and council agendas where it's a grant for X. It's like, well, where's the string? What is it?
Sure.
And that rarely gets brought up. I mean, it's way down on the chit chat part of most council meetings. Jesus, you talk fast. I'm usually the fast talker. You give me no time to think of the next thing.
That's okay.
No, it's good. It's fun. I'm having a great time. I'm just, again, like this is a weird spot for me. It's just I enjoy doing this so much. It's just fun for me.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to anybody about anything.
That's great.
I want to try to do my best to give the listenership an opportunity, if they happen to be registered Republicans and want to go vote and do the thing. How to do that? Pitch the event next weekend for me.
Yeah, March 6th, Crown Plaza. Oh, excuse me, Crown College. Don't show up to Crown Plaza. Crown College in Powell, 9 a.m. Knox County GOP reorganization meeting. If you can pre-register, if you're interested in going pre-register, that's kind of what they're pushing right now, because if you show up, they got to check your voter history and all that. Make sure you're a bona fide Republican. If you pre-register, I believe the Credentials Committee does it. You pretty much just show up, you give them your name, address, kind of they find out who you are, and then they just go, here's your voting sticker. All right. If you don't, you're gonna have to wait in line, and you're gonna have to just go one by one to see if. I'm
gonna try to. I'm gonna try to show up, but I'm not registering anything because I'm gonna tell them I'm not going to vote because I can't. But
I mean, you're technically media, in my opinon. You're a citizen journalist,
right? I mean, I jokingly call myself a journalist every once in a while, but Randy invited me, so I'm gonna try. But,
awesome.
I don't know. Again, this is one of those. I'm just gonna be sitting there like a 7-year-old watching a Saw movie or something like that. I don't understand what's going on here. What are we looking at?
Welcome to the process.
All these people with their. Do you guys wear the funny hats? Do you guys wear the straw hats?
No, we don't wear funny hats. No.
Why not? That's part of the thing, isn't it?
I don't think it is.
Isn't there something?
I've never heard of that.
They do it at the national, the RNC and stuff.
Oh,
like that.
you're talking about like the Texas, they wear like the actual Texas flag outfit with like a cowboy hat.
No, I'm talking about the flat brim like.
I don't think we're wearing hats, Seth. I'm going to have to double check on that.
I got to look it up now because it's a thing. I know it's a thing. I didn't just make it up. It might be a DNC thing, but I'm pretty sure it's a...
like a delegate kind of like...
everybody's got their little... it's always where they have the state on a post where it's like Florida's here.
I see what you're saying.
But they'll have the flat hats. Yes. It's like a straw or corn or something hat. I don't remember. You're the one that's been in politics forever. I'm just watching from.
I never heard of these hats before, and I've been in politics for forever.
These are real hats. I didn't make it up. I promise. Okay, so I don't know. Like, what's you brought up some of the violence and criminality issue that we're having here locally currently. As a party, what do you do? How do you contribute to a solution to a situation like this?
Yeah, I think that's a solid question, because the party doesn't make law or anything, right? I mean, we just make public comment and kind of hope that our elected officials go that way. And I think that's what's got to be reflective of the community too. I think people are looking for safety. People are looking to make sure that their kids are going to go home that day. They want to make sure that their kid is not going to not show up to school. These are real concerns. I think putting a little pressure on our elected officials to come up with a plan for our law enforcement to make sure that these communities are properly guarded. I think that's what the GOP can do. It's just put public pressure on it. It's a real issue. I would hate. I would hate to see this happen again. I would love to see violence kind of disappear, but the reality is that it probably isn't, and it most likely isn't. So we need to make sure that we have these safety guards to really just fight back this crime.
So it's a cops thing, not a. I mean, that's what I'm at. Like, so it's that I found the hat, sort of.
Oh,
it's not the right hat. They're usually yellow. Anyway, this is important, people. I'll put it. I will make this the episode picture. That hat.
I have never seen that hat. maybe I'm the I don't know. Maybe I'm the off one.
I doubt. I highly doubt it. I'm fairly clear and consistent on how little I know about what's going on around me in politics specifically. But to go back to the question that was actually a legitimate question. So is it a because again, this is one of the things that I get lost on in it, trying to talk to some of the different people I've talked to about it is. It's one of those that is it are we using medicine on a symptom, or are we actually treating a disease in the process?
Yeah.
And that's one of those that I don't understand the depths of, and so again, as a party, you're going to try to raise awareness and push policy,
right?
But what is a policy? I guess is kind of the question.
Yeah, I think one of the big things that we can do is give our law enforcement incentive, and that would be whether it is, public support, or even better pay. I've talked to some law enforcement officers that in our sheriff's department or even Knoxville City Police, they wish they had a little more money for what they went through, and I think that's a reasonable request.
I mean, I wish I had a little more money too.
Oh yeah, we all do. Yeah.
I mean, nobody's job pays enough.
Sure, I get that, but when I go to work, I know I'm coming home that day. When a police officer goes to work, they may not go home that day.
I mean, depending on actually how the pandemic works, I don't know if I'm coming home.
I guess.
I don't know if I'm coming home with death or not every day that I go out to work.
Well, I suppose it's true. Yeah.
I wouldn't be a cop. There's no way. There's 1,000 reasons I would never want to be a cop, and I don't disagree that it should be it should be a solid living to do that job.
But that's going to come. It's going to come down to our city council and our county commission. At the end of the day, they're the ones that do the appropriations anyway. So. Yeah,
I guess. Again, this is what's weird is it becomes a state issue on trying to get the sheriff's paid, where it's a city issue to get KPD paid. Mm-hmm. But then then commission gets to vote on whether or not we're going to. That's so weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. So, how do you feel about baseball?
How I feel about baseball?
Yeah.
I think I know what you're asking me. I love baseball. I don't like using taxpayer money to go watch baseball or to build baseball, but I like baseball.
Yeah, I'm on the fence. I keep going back and forth. Like I can't
get behind it. Look, I really can't. Come from New Jersey. I come from a town called Bayonne. All right, 3 miles long, apartment complex galore. All right, I mean it's an apartment complex every 3 feet there. One of the issues, and I definitely encourage your viewers to look this up. One of the issues that town was seeing was a growth in these apartment complexes. Okay. What they were asking the city were for tax abatements. They were looking for pilots and TIF programs. Okay, that basically is, okay, you don't pay taxes for a certain amount of year, and then after that you start paying taxes. Right. One of the issues I have is that you're doing it for 40, 50, 60 years. Okay?
That's a long time.
I mean, that's a crazy long time. Yeah. And so what's happening is at year 49, year 59, they're going, it was fun, but I'm out.
Right.
And now you pretty much just finance them from a total gain aspect on the taxpayer dime, and now you're stuck with an apartment complex or a parcel or property that needs to be redeveloped anyway for whatever
it's
project's
50,
next.
60 years old at this point, and
right.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, I get, like my gut reaction is still a no. Like I'm still
sure.
like if it was on the ballot today and it was like you got to go vote on it today,
yeah,
I would if I had to choose, I'd probably choose not. But I'm really excited to hear next week. I've got the whole team, Mamatov and that whole team coming in. And, and they're going to bring me like stacks of paperwork, and I got to get my reading glasses out and going to have to really work on that one to try to understand. Because, I mean, it's all about, I mean, it's really, the only thing to me, it's a conversation about financing.
Yeah.
That's really all the conversation is how are we going to pay for it? Mm-hmm. And what does that actually mean?
Right.
Because like this is like the only thing that keeps me a little bit alive in the idea that I'm down with it is if reasonable rent's a real reasonable number.
Sure.
And not some, 25% of what anybody else would pay for a similar property. And this special tax district thing, I still don't quite understand exactly how that works. Because it's been explained to me like 15 times. And if I understand it, or the way I understand it at least, is it's the portion of tax revenue that we won't lose anyway.
Right.
And the idea being that we will get that will go directly back to financing the stadium, and it doesn't change our state service for any of the state services the state provides that they usually take that money for. Mm-hmm. And so that's free money-ish, sort of. I'm sure there's some. And again, this is what these are the ones I'm trying to figure out, because if that and the rent can be 95%, then I might be down with it.
Yeah. I
don't care if we lose a little bit on it on the front end for what it should do, and it's the should do that's the problem. That's the real problem. Yeah. It's the we're speaking in what might happen.
Well, I'm looking forward to that show. I mean, that's gonna be interesting.
I'm scared to death. It's going to be 3 people.
Hey, information's great.
It's true, but it's going to be 3 people that are way smarter than me. And when I'm struggling to ask questions, when it's just one person, and then I have a bunch of paperwork in front of me, it's probably going to be a lot of what's this number mean right here? Because I think it's one of those. It could be a good signature. A good signature town piece. One of the things I heard about, I can't remember who told me about it, is that one of the things that's down. And because Boyd's already started breaking down some of the properties. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. There's that water tower on that one storage building. Mm-hmm. Apparently, he kept it. Okay. And it's supposed to be the centerpiece on like behind home plate. Okay. Up on the backpack, so it's supposed to be part of. And that sounds really cool to me.
I'm sure it's going to look very nice. Like I really am. Okay. I just have an issue with taxpayers footing the bill. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I lean more libertarian than anything.
Sure.
So philosophically, I hate it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The further I've gotten into this stuff, the more I've gotten willing to explore.
Sure.
Than just hard philosophy. Period.
Yeah.
Because there's it's not that there's mitigating factors. It's not apologetic. But there's a pragmatism at play here.
Right.
So let's be realistic about. It's probably going to happen. That's what it feels like to me. It's probably going to happen. And so let's make sure we air out and get it done the best we can for the best communal result.
And transparency is going to be key in anything.
Yeah.
Just be honest.
Right. I didn't think they'd say yes when I asked them to come to the show. So I'm excited about that one. I figured they'd be like, yeah, we already put out what we want to put out. But we'll see. I mean, and again, it's interesting. It's something fun to talk about. It's better than talking Board of Health. We've talked about Board of Health for long enough.
I get it.
And the other thing that I've been trying to work on is trying to get other stuff, because we started with the pandemic. We didn't mean to. We started recording the podcast because we wanted to do it, and it just so happens that the world was coming to an end at the same time.
Yeah.
And so
that's when I started my law firm in the middle of a pandemic. Yeah. Everything was closed, so it's been great. It's been nothing but up from here. So,
can't start here. Yeah. And so first bunch of the show was COVID this, COVID that, and it's just like, I'm so tired of talking about it. It's not that it's not a big deal. It's just
sure
where we're at. We don't have to beat it to death, and so that's that Board of Health conversation was well past that point, and it's now been supplanted, and now baseball is the conversation. But I'm keep searching for more other stuff. I think the city council having the homelessness conversation is interesting. Sure. Yeah. I did an episode with Marty from Care Cuts. And went down and saw her operation and checked out the it's a pretty fantastic thing they do down there. And one of the things to me that seemed like a no-brainer is talking to Marty, and I can't remember who was with her, but one of her directors was with her. It sounds to me like it's not that there's a lack of services. There is enough private nonprofit groups out there doing stuff. It's just a matter of moving the people around to get the right services available to them. And so it's like, well, why isn't that to me is something the city should be doing. They should be coordinating the nonprofit efforts instead of being part of the process.
I mean, especially if you're giving them money,
Yeah. I don't know that's another grants game, and I don't know how all that stuff exactly shakes down, but it's like, you got all these nonprofits, so it's not as costly, even if they are doing grants, but it's not as costly to the city as the city trying to do it on their own.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think the private sector has a great piece to play here when it comes to city issues. I mean, we're a community, we got to act like it. We should. We should look out for our neighbor.
I agree with that, but again, what I brought that up more as a trying to find those stories that are those other stories and those other issues and those other agenda items that are kind of just get buried underneath.
Yeah, I get it.
And so I guess we'll do a little bit more on that, and then we'll call it a night. Let you guys go out on your date or whatever, since you're cool, hip kids, children.
We're literally just grabbing Thai food,
I mean, I've got my kids and dog locked in a room so I can talk to you because the missus is at work and.
When you say it like that, it sounds terrible. Okay.
What, me? My life? No, my life's great. I love my kids.
That's awesome.
It's just my dog is a little crazy.
Hey, your dog's fun. Dog's pretty fun.
He's something. But I don't know. When you're more involved than I am, what's something that you've seen in city or county government that may have kind of fallen under the radar of conversation that maybe I should pick up, or at least other people should at least know more about?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't really have anything to tell you, honestly. I think our government, our city, and our county could be, focusing on other issues instead of what's happening now. I think we, realistically, right? And I hate this. I don't want to say I hate to sound like Randy Pace, but I mean he hits it right on the head. There's really only three kind of areas that municipalities, right, meaning city and your county, really should be focusing on is your road infrastructure. I'm pretty sure we have more potholes that have been here since when the state first opened. Okay, is our infrastructure, our business climate, and our public safety. Those are really the three main issues that municipalities have. Anything outside of that, in my opinion, is outside the scope of the responsibility of government. Yeah,
but I mean, this is the problem with that. I don't disagree with the premise, but the problem with that premise is you say business climate, and baseball stadium falls under that category.
Yes, but in my opinion, it's business climate, not choosing who the winners and losers are. Okay, anybody who gets a tax subsidy, they're going to have a leg up. I mean, it's just how it is.
Right. See, that's what I need. That's actually part of my devious plan. I'm assuming Mr. Manitoff won't listen to this before he comes on the show, but I'm going to ask. I'm really going to spend the whole time trying to shift them into helping write a project for me.
Sure.
To pitch to the city to do.
I'm excited to hear this, man.
What do I want to do? One of my running jokes right now is taking the city county building, moving all the offices out of there, and turning that into something cool instead of government offices. Such a cool spot. Even the building's kind of cool as it sits.
The city county building,
downtown, right between the two bridges.
What would you like to see with that?
I think a new Civic there would be amazing. Or a casino, but there's a whole state level and federal legalities that we got to jump through.
Civic's would be great. Or a casino.
I mean, a hotel casino right there would be killer. It would just murder down there. It would go crazy with how much business and tax revenue and all the other good stuff that comes with that. But that's really going back to the baseball part of that. That's what's really upsetting to me. It's like I'm down with the premise. I like the multi-use. I like the I would like to go see some concerts around here instead of having to go to Nashville or Atlanta every time a band comes through.
Yeah.
A nice, good outdoor venue would be a great have, even though we already have one at the World's Fair site. It just floods all the time, and so it never gets used. But to me, I think the Civic has more value. A good, better Civic would have more value over time. And then, tear down the city county building, put a sweet ass Civic right there overlooking the river. Be keen. Be super keen. But that's me. That and trains. I want trains in Knoxville. I want a light rail running around town.
Yeah.
Because I want to go down to Market Square and not have to worry about parking, and not have to worry about driving home drunk.
Sure.
Or paying $500 for a taxi to drive home. Whatever, whichever version of it is.
I know what you're saying.
that kind of stuff. And so those are kind of my, that and Metro. Metro is one of my big ones. That's
Sure.
to me, Metro is probably my number one. Like, I actually am going to continue to put in more time in trying to understand the different ways you can do it, and try to put at least a basic program together of how I think Metro should be in Knox County.
Sure.
Because that one to me just makes sense. It did, like, and again, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Is there's the difference between, there's a difference between politics and government, and they need each other to function. But where government should be the one doing the thing that's right for me, the politics has just as much influence on it, which takes it apart, which drives me crazy.
Sure. Well, I respect your opinion, but I humbly disagree.
What, with Metro or
yeah,
with
I do. Yeah, with Metro. Yeah.
Why?
I just don't think it's a good system.
Because Metro's all turn blue eventually?
No, it's not necessarily that. I mean, if you just want to look over to Nashville, it's just different. It's different from how it's done here, and I don't think it's necessarily working in Nashville.
Okay. This is on my list of many things to research on some of the understandings of. But what's not working in Nashville? I mean, just think they've grown like 20-something% over the last decade. Sure,
20-something%. But you're seeing, you're seeing kind of a mismanagement of that government as well. You see, what was the most recent tax increase that they saw over there?
No, I don't know.
Close to about 30. Fact check me, but I believe it was about 30%, give or take.
In Davidson County property tax?
I believe so.
Really?
I believe so, but fact check me on that, please, because I'm going off the top of my head right now.
Okay. Oh, you want me to do it now?
No. I'm just saying.
I'll do it now.
You can if you want, or if any of your listeners, I encourage fact checking because I like to say the right.
I mean, I talk. Yeah, I do. I talk out of my ass all the time, and I try to. I try
to give an honest, accurate answer.
Right,
but,
as close as I can remember. It doesn't have to. I can get down with not being perfect. But again, I mean, one of the things to me though is that Nashville is a model.
Sure.
It is not the model. It's not the only way to do it.
So I guess your argument is that the Nashville model may not be where we want here, but we can look to some or the other alternative.
Right. There's parts and pieces of it that I think that just make sense. As we grow as a county, as the city grows, and especially if I understand correctly that the city's not allowed to annex anymore, so the city's stuck in square mileage to where it sits.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think that's kind of weird too, but anyway, I'm good with it because that fence right there is city and this side's county.
Oh, okay.
And I take this stance as a county resident, as an intentional county resident. When I was house shopping, I specifically looked for a house in county. I didn't want a city residence. I didn't want to pay the extra tax. I'm happy to do my own trash, and my house can burn down. I'd prefer it burn to the ground. It's better for my insurance.
I hope it doesn't burn down.
Well, according to my insurance agent, if it is to catch fire, I'm probably better off it burning to the ground than I am having it half burnt.
So I see why you have a few candles there.
I'm just trying to set the mood, get your guys' date night started right.
Man.
But there's options on how to do a metro. Nashville is an example, but there's other ways. There's other parts and pieces because it comes down to which services, which entity as we know it takes over its services. Does KPD take over all of Knox County as far as patrol, and then the sheriff's office goes to just the prison side of it? If I understand the state law correctly, the prison has to stay through the sheriff's office regardless.
It's constitutional office.
Yeah, so we take it all the way down to just that. It's like I think Davidson does it as warrants, and prison is all that Davidson County does. And then let KPD take over that because I kind of like the premise of which is weird because it doesn't make. I like to vote for as many people as possible, but I kind of like the idea of the way KPD operates as a response to the mayor's office versus Sheriff Spangler doesn't answer anybody.
Have you done a specific podcast on Metro yet or anything?
No, I just talked to everybody about it. Okay. I have it's something I've thought about. I just it's part lazy, part it's not really the point. I'm not. Yeah. I'm letting the idea congeal as it goes.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. If I find somebody like Manis is coming in, and he said he was gonna bring me. From last time we talked, he was gonna bring me a copy of I think he called it the white papers.
Okay.
From when Louisville did it.
Yeah.
Just for some references on some different stuff, but other than that, I mean, it's not something that I would know how to write officially anyway.
I understand.
But again, the school, the thing about here that one of the main reasons I think about it is our number one expense as a county is already metro. Our number 2 expense as a county is like 70% metro. So the schools are metro already. The prison part of there's the better word for it. Not public defense, but public safety. Public safety. The public safety part of it is majority metro already through the sheriff's office anyway. It'd just be a matter of balancing that whichever way we wanted to balance that. And so that's like 80-something% of our total county budget already.
Okay.
And so the county budget has literally no money left to do anything with because the 2 biggest entities in the county take up the most money. And so cities collecting all these taxes and cities doing much more active with services. It costs more, understandably, but they also don't have to deal with the school part of it. They have way less expenditure on the public safety part of it, and they have more revenue per person.
Okay.
And so to me, there's a lot of other stuff that they're already doing. The courts are already. Isn't the courts already metro? Aren't the courts already one body? They don't have a city and county courts.
Well, we have. Yeah, I mean, it's the state courts. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So so that's a body that doesn't have to interact. I don't know. Like I said, it's like there are more bodies that I'd have to break down and figure out which ones make sense. And because I joke around with Jesse from the Compass when they came on this weekend, and he lives in District 2 in the county, but he also lives in the city, and all of District 2 is in the city limits. It's like, well, what does Courtney Durrett do for her county constituents? Because 90% of what they do is land use anyway.
Sure.
And if it's a land use issue in the city does the land use conversation. So what is Courtney doing for her constituents in the county other than Board of Health conversation, already a metro office, and I don't know what else, I mean, because most of the job is land use anyway. And so it's like, I agree with Jesse that he is a county resident as well as a city resident, so he should have representation, but his representation doesn't do anything on his behalf because all his representation is the city person that he deals with. And so it's like that, it's that kind of stuff. It's whether it's the overlapping of
I see what you're saying. Of jurisdictions.
Right. Zoning being the biggest one, that overlapping of zoning where the city takes precedence over any city zoning and the county has no say in it. Well, it's also more people. It's the planning commission's already metro, but the county and the county commission and the city council are separate bodies that both use the planning commission to make decisions about their particular jurisdictions. And again, I don't know what the right answer is. I just think that it's a discussion to have. I think there's a long-term reality to it, whether we want it or not. It's going to come eventually. As we hit 1 million in the county, it's going to happen.
I mean, it is an
eventuality.
And I've heard of it. People talk about it today. So
it's me. I brought it up. I started it. It's all me.
All right, we'll give you credit.
We're changing the name to Sethville.
Sethville. There you go. Seth County, right? Well, if you ever do a podcast on, specifically Metro, I think that would be a great conversation, and I think it'd be worth a listen.
I mean, again, like I said, it's gonna come as it comes. But if I have somebody that has a little bit more knowledge of having gone through a metro process, that would be that might be somebody to find. Miss Ryder earlier has family from Fort Wayne on the baseball stadium thing. Yeah. So I might actually do a phone call with some of her family in Indiana to talk about that baseball, because that's the one they keep using as a reference.
Yeah.
And so I might call them and be like, hey, so tell me about your baseball stadium, because apparently we're copying you guys.
That would
for
be
like
interesting.
3 or 4 times as expensive.
Wow.
But we're gonna copy you guys and see if we can't. I don't know, because I'm sure there's people up there that hate it and hate every ounce of it and hated it when they were doing it and hate it now. And I'm sure I think what she was saying is that I think it's her aunt that still lives up there. One of them, somebody that initially was no, this is a bad idea, and now she goes down there and hits the farmers market and all the other stuff they do in there. She's like, I've never been to a baseball game, but I go down there like 2 or 3 times a month.
Okay.
I was like, that's a pretty big shift. So, well, I don't know. Give me any plugs you want to do as far as contacts. Reiterate the event next weekend.
Yeah. So
and we'll do an outro.
Yeah, the event's March 6th at 9 a.m. Crown College in Powell. Knox County GOP reorganization. Again, this is Daniel Herrera. I'm a candidate for Knox County GOP chair. I really do think we need to move more towards a grassroots, kind of in-your-face GOP, and one that's a little more active. If you have any questions, contact me on Facebook. I'm constantly posting on Facebook. Or you can give me a call. Cell is 865-287-4097. Again, 865-287-4097. If you guys have any questions or comments, you can reach out anytime. I appreciate you, Seth. You're awesome, man. This
I
is a great show.
appreciate you
Thank
stopping by. I will put I'll put a link to your Facebook page and your phone number in the show notes.
Yeah,
so people
and feel free to text me. You don't have to call me. You can text me.
We're kids. We're cool. That's what we do. The cool kids use text. I don't know. I don't like talking to people. Wait, I do love talking to people. That's all I do. That's my favorite thing to do. That's why I like to do this show. Daniel, I really appreciate you coming out.
Thank you, Seth.
Any of you Republicans that feel like you need to be heard, go next weekend and do that. We're Almost Agreement, almostagreement@gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. I already said Facebook. The website is live. Almostinagreement.com is live. You can go there. You can see at least any of the last dozen episodes. I'm going to start filling in the back catalog as I can. And then our current one sponsor we have, you can get a link to them on there as well. But they sponsor the website. They don't sponsor the show. It's a different animal, so we're working on that kind of stuff too. We got a show on Sunday with the boys, and then Monday I've got at least 2 more, Manus and Lundy, and then then the week after that more. I don't know. We're gonna keep doing it. Like I said, that's all we have. This is my most favorite, funnest thing to do. I'm gonna go rescue my kids from the dog. Y'all have a great night. We'll talk to you soon.